Hi, I'm Dean Marchiori from the Internetrix data science team, and today's video we're looking at top 5 tips for effective data visualization. So let's jump into it. Okay, top 5 tips. These are great for anyone who's creating charts or visualizing data in your organizations. So let's go through each one by one. Number one, clearly define your goals beforehand. Think about what you really want to display before you start making your chart and make sure you aim it just to answer that question you set yourself. Think about how many variables you've got. Are you comparing between groups or over time? What relationships are you trying to show? Number two, keep it simple. Don't try and do too much in the one chart. Just stick to the one y-axis. Consider using facets or multiple charts over sort of one big crowded grouped chart. And always stick to 2D and avoid pie charts where possible. Number three, think about the data to ink ratio. Make sure what you're showing in your data visualization is conveying useful information and don't waste ink on things that are distracting. Number four, colors do matter. Think about color as a dimension and not a decoration. And be mindful of color blindness and perception to make sure that your data visualizations are accessible for everyone who's going to be looking at them. And finally, use clear labels, titles, and units. Please be unambiguous. People aren't mind readers. You've got to help them understand what you're trying to show. Let's jump into a live example. So this is, first of all, a bad example of what not to do. This is using a fun data set just of Star Wars characters. Although you wouldn't really know it looking at it, we haven't got a very good title. Here we're probably using the wrong type of chart as well. It's a bar chart. We've got the red bars being the height of different characters along the x-axis, the green bars being the mass of different characters. Too many labels, a very busy sort of dark background, packed too tightly together. It's hard to tell what's going on here. So let's see if we can rebuild this using our tips from first principles and come up with something a little bit better. First of all, defining your goals beforehand. Let's start with a nice clear statement before we jump in. So we want to explore the size of Star Wars characters by assessing the relationship of body height and weight. Okay, so we've got a couple of variables. We've got body height and weight. They're continuous numeric variables, and we're looking at the relationship between them. So something like a 2D scatter plot, I think, would be perfect. It's nice and simple, and we can start there. You'd notice, though, that this isn't great. Just off the bat, we've got a lot of dead space in the middle. This is where we need to think about data to ink ratio. There's nothing really being conveyed in that middle space. We probably need to investigate, what is this outlier? Who's all the way over on the right-hand side there? Okay, Jabba the Hutt. So, in this case, I think we could probably exclude this particular character, and we could just make a note of that and move on. Yeah, and when we do, we're actually making a much better use of the data space there. So immediately our data to ink ratio is a lot better. This is okay, but I think we can try and incorporate a little bit of color as well. So what we've done is here we've mapped color of the dots on our scatter plot to the species of that character. Immediately though, we can see that there's too many species present in the data. The characters are mainly human, droid, and then a long tail of others. And it's not really useful. It's hard to tell apart these different shades of colors. So let's lump a few of them together. And by doing that, we come up with probably a more manageable set of colors that still give us some useful information. Okay, well, we're really getting somewhere now. Let's see if we can expand on this by just looking at colors in a little bit more depth. We probably do need to be a little bit careful when choosing colors. We need to make sure that it's a nice color palette that's easy to interpret, that has good uniform perception, but it's also colorblind friendly. And there's a few different types we can look at. Sequential palettes are really good when you're showing something with an underlying value, a continuous numeric variable where you're going from sort of low to high. Qualitative is more when you're comparing groups that don't have sort of inherent ordering. You just want to tell, hey, these are different. And diverging is when we do want to show some sort of reference to the underlying values, but we're not going from low to high. We're sort of a central point with really high and really low values that we want to call out. Okay, so we've chosen the Varietas color scale. That maps to a sort of a perceptually uniform color range in both color and black and white, and it's also colorblind friendly. Okay, so we need to put some better labels on this chart. So immediately we can see that if we put a label or a number on every point, then it's just going to be the raw data just in a different form. And that's not what we want. We want to summarize the data and really tell a story. So here we've just used labels for the top and bottom characters from each category. And we can see things like Darth Vader, R2D2, Yoda down in the bottom corner. So immediately this is giving us some nice, interesting characters and kind of mapping our intuition and maybe giving us a little bit more information than what we would have had before without overcomplicating things. You can see it's still not great. When we look at the X and Y axis, we haven't got the units that we're measuring height and weight in. So we want to put that in as well as a nice informative title and subtitle. We've faded the background away and we've added in a caption down the bottom from where our data came from. And immediately now this is nice and clear how big are Star Wars characters. We're comparing height and weight, excluding Jabba the Hutt, and we've got height in centimeters, weight in kilograms. So with a bit of minor polishing, we've got a pretty good finished product here, and that helps convey, the key objective that we're trying to in a much better way. Certainly much better than the ugly bar chart that we started with. So there you go. Those are our top 5 tips for creating effective data visualizations. Remember, clearly define your goals beforehand. Keep it simple. Think about data to ink ratio. Colors do matter. And always use clear labels, titles, and units. Okay, that's it. Thanks very much for listening. If you have any questions, please feel free to get in touch with us via the website. And bye for now.